right. What is up, Endgame community? I'm Pierre. He's Chris. Here to break down everything week 6 that just wrapped up, including the Bills Chiefs, which is barely wrapping up. It looks like the Bills are going to pull it out despite being in Arrowhead. I mean, I guess it was kind of high scoring, not crazy high scoring like we thought,
Not
but there were
really.
some big performances. Stephon Diggs was huge. Gabe Davis, I mean, yeah, you were happy starting him. Juju, what do you think about Juju? We just wrote
Juju.
him off.
Juju. That was surprising.
Yeah, we had just written him off. But anyways, guys, we're here live. We're gonna go instant reaction, talk about big games, busts, some players that surprised us, some players that jumped onto the scene, and answer your early questions because we're already looking ahead to week 7. So also, if you have any start sit questions for tonight's game, which will take place in less than an hour, or Monday night, that matters. We're going to answer those. Reminder, anyone who's caught us live already since yesterday, I don't usually sound like this. My voice is a little dead, but I'm still going, so we're going to keep it rolling. Also, we're just going to keep answering chats as they come in. If you do the super chat, guarantee we will answer your question and we'll get to it first. But we answer all questions as much as possible. Also, the good time to remind you, we have a Discord that is completely free where you can ask as many questions as you want, post whatever you want, and the link is down below. And if you want to consider supporting us, you can hit like, you can hit subscribe, and you can become a Patreon, patreon.com/fantasyfootballendgame. Link is also in the description. All right, Chris, besides that game that just wrapped up, what else stood out to you from this week?
Jamar Chase is back. If you bought low on Jamar Chase or you were thinking about buying low on Jamar Chase, too late. Too late. No one's giving up Jamar Chase now. He's back. What else? Kenneth Walker is the real deal. What else? Michael Pittman. The people who were burying Michael Pittman and Matt Ryan maybe a little too soon there. What else? What else was nice today? It didn't feel like there was a lot of huge performances today. Like it felt like a very low scoring fantasy day today, for sure.
Yeah, I was just thinking last week we had like a 3-touchdown game, 4-touchdown game, all these huge games. I mean, we had a couple, of course, but not as many. It didn't feel like, and we thought Arizona Seattle might be like one of the highest scoring games. I mean, it wasn't. We thought Tampa Bay would put up a ton of points. They lost. They didn't, and they lost. But yeah, I think the moral to the story is don't write off stud players after a couple of down games. It's like you were writing off Justin Jefferson the first couple of weeks, which was a mistake. Michael Pittman, that was a mistake. And yes, Kenneth Walker. This is a good one. Walker.
Yeah, Walker. Walker looks like the real deal. He looks good. Like not just fantasy good, but real life good. Yeah, he looks good for sure. He looks good.
And you know what? They're not always going to pan out. Guys, we thought you have to grab, you have to start. Benjamin, he busted. I mean, Arizona's whole offense just kind of did nothing.
Oh man,
Kyler
Arizona's
Murray,
offense busted.
yeah. I mean, Kyler Murray put up points because he ran the ball. But Arizona, I'm telling you, if there's a coach that should be fired next, it's Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, Arizona's broken.
Yep. Definitely a bust. All right, this is a good one. Chris heavily invested in Saquon. Let's talk about that end of that game.
I mean, yeah, it hurts. It hurts because it would have been nice to get those extra, 6 points or whatever. But he did the right thing. I mean, it won the game for his team. He did the right thing. So, I mean, yeah, you always, wish you had those extra points, but can't be mad. I mean, Barkley. If you have Barkley right now, you got to be feeling fantastic. He's been great. Like his bad game was like 11 points. Like he's been great every single week. So yeah, if you have Barkley right now, you're feeling good. Obviously the slide hurts, but he did what he had to do to win the game.
And he did score a touchdown earlier. It's not like he didn't at all. So you can't be disappointed. I mean, I know you want those points, but that happens. All right, let's see what else. You guys, let us know who helped you win. If you got a start sit question. Oh yeah. Well, I think for the most part we said go with Pittman, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying go with Pittman all out. Look, I don't know if anybody watched that game. I was watching Red Zone, but if you watch that game, look, you can say what you want about Matt Ryan. He turns the ball over. He takes too many sacks. But the dude can still put it on people. He puts it where it needs to be more often than not. He's still extremely accurate. Like people were like, he's not even a QB upgrade over Carson Wentz. You can't tell me you watched Carson Wentz on Thursday and Matt Ryan today and tell me that he's not a huge QB upgrade. Like Matt Ryan can absolutely support Michael Pittman. Maybe the offensive line will be an issue. They didn't get a lot of pressure on them today. Maybe they're getting better, but they do have a nice schedule. So, yeah, if you went out and bought Pittman low, or if you stayed the course, you're feeling good, and you should for sure.
Yep. Okay, I think we have to talk about Najee. I mean, he technically got some points.
Not Najee getting what, like almost 12 PPR points against the Bucks. Like you almost have to like feel good about that because, like I don't know how like the Bucks, man. You talk about another offense that's broken, like the Cardinals. That Bucks offense is broken. Like they can move the ball, but they can't finish drives. Like how do they one touchdown against the Steelers defense? Like what? Yeah, Kittle looked great. He didn't even score a touchdown. He's just racking up yards and so. Yeah, they actually got points. Maybe there's still hope for Najee. It does get. I think it gets a little bit better after the bye. So,
I mean, the thing is, Najee only ran for 42 yards. You can't love that, but again, this was against like the toughest run defense out there, and he looked okay. And that's better than before. All right,
I'm not excited about Najee.
I mean. But at least he did something. Thoughts on Montgomery and I guess Aaron Rodgers?
I still really like Montgomery. Montgomery's going to be on the buy low again this week for sure. Still got the bulk of the touches. Still the only one really catching passes. Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is like part of me wonders if Aaron Rodgers is even in it this season. Like there's already reports he's going to retire next year. He doesn't have Devontae Adams. This offense is terrible, like I was saying it would be, because they don't have Devontae Adams, who's like they don't have that guy. They don't have that guy who can just be like make a play. They don't have that guy. So I think he'll be fine. I just don't think he'll ever be great. Like he'll just be fine. Like every week he'll be like 250 yards, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and that's what you'll get pretty much every week.
We were just talking about this before we got on air. There's one league where we made this multiplayer trade, and Chris is like, why did I trade you Josh Allen? I said, well, why did I trade you Pat Mahomes in a different league? I got Aaron Rodgers back. I was like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers will be fine. Not fine.
He'll just be fine. That's the thing. He'll just be fine.
Barely. Ayuk, I mean, look, there were a lot of questions we had, both today and yesterday with our patrons this morning and yesterday where people asked like blah, 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 or Ayuk. And a lot of times the tiebreaker, most times we said Ayuk because tiebreakers, he has that big play, that touchdown upside, and he showed it.
Yeah, and it was a good matchup against the Falcons, and somehow this game went exactly the opposite of how we expected, right? Like somehow they're having to throw a lot. Like Jeff Wilson, oh my gosh, you want to talk about a bust? Jeff Wilson, like everybody who's been like riding Jeff Wilson and being like, you guys need to respect Jeff Wilson more, and then it's like, not even 1 point today, not even a point. Like, man, that was brutal. But this game, like the Falcons defense came to play and they turned them over and they forced them to pass, and that's not really the Niners game. So
that game and the Tampa Bay game script was completely flipped. But NFL, any day, you don't know, right? The favorite does not always win a lot. Okay. David, good news. 5-1. That's what we like to hear.
Nice. That always feels good.
All right, Big Crit in the house again. What is up, Big Crit? Put up 150, up by 50. Land Philly D and kicker.
I think you're good.
I think you got it. I mean, Philly D is good, but against Dallas, they're not going to get like 3 turnovers.
I mean, even if they get 20 from their defense and 15 from their kicker, which is huge games for both those positions. You're good. You're good.
All right, Tyler Foley, now the show's officially started because Tyler's in the house.
That's
All right.
right. What's up, Tyler?
Who wins tonight? Who do you like better, CD or AJ?
I'm going to give AJ the slight edge. I'm a little – I did bench CD in one league for Ken Walker, and I don't regret it. Even if CD goes off tonight, I'm not going to regret it. Only because, CD dealing with that I guess it's a groin now. Last week it was a hip. Now it's a groin. Just, there's some risk that maybe he isn't full strength, isn't 100%. So I think AJ Brown has a bigger game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to like Philly, and then I'll go AJ Brown too.
Yeah. There you go. Bought low on Chase, and now you're feeling good. Now you're feeling good.
You do it, guys. Even if at the time it sounds like, oh, this is a mistake, it's a bad move, you always have to think long term. You can't just look in this narrow little window of what happened yesterday. That's not how it works.
Exactly. Especially when you buy low on people. Like if you really buy low, right? Like you traded like, I don't know, an RB2 and a wide receiver 2 and got Chase, something like that.
And Rise Above, always with us as well.
There you go.
Very nice.
There you go.
All right. Henry Odom traded Diggs for Chase and Higgins.
I mean, Diggs looks great, man. Diggs looks great, but I still think you got the win because you got Chase and you got Higgins, who, by the way, didn't have a big game today, but he played the whole game. He caught passes. Like, I think you can feel good about him going forward again. Okay, fine. You don't have to worry about him, barely playing. You can put him back in your lineup. So you got two really – I mean, Chase – look, this could be the start of Chase doing what we expected him to do. And if he does, then right there it's a fair trade. And getting Higgins on top of it, good move. Good move.
And, I said I'm not rolling with Higgins. I'm not trusting it. And he was okay. He at least got you 10 points. He got you something. But like you said, the main thing is he got through the game. He's okay. Yeah. And with Chase now back, Higgins can go back to being the guy next week. Yeah. Mike, what is up? Thoughts on Ayuk and Ken Walker going forward? Now, that's a good question because Ayuk won't do this now every week going forward.
No, this is a good time to trade Ayuk. Like this is a good sell high. I know he's not like a crazy sell high because people aren't dumb, right? They're not like they know like, hey, he hasn't really been doing much, and then he popped off this week. He might not happen. But when I say like a sell high, if you can trade him for like a more consistent weekly starter, maybe a solid RB2 that you can play every week, something like that. I'm not saying like go get like a stud. Go get like a solid, like if Miles Sanders doesn't do a lot tonight, maybe you can go get like a Miles Sanders type. Maybe you still can get a Travis Etienne because he still hasn't really blown up yet, something like that. As far as Ken Walker, I mean, you got to feel great about Ken Walker. Like, you got to feel great. He looks great. Looks fantastic. You got to feel incredible about Ken Walker.
If you were able to pick him up off of waivers, yeah, you're feeling great. I wish I was in any league where he was out there on waivers, but big crit. All right, let's talk about the busts. McKenzie.
Well, Jeff Wilson was the bust of the week. The bust of the week. Literally half a point against Atlanta. Like, I'm laughing because I'm going to cry if I don't laugh. Like, how does Jeff Wilson get half a point against Atlanta? That makes no sense.
Well, and here's the thing. He kind of screwed himself. The game script went against him because of his own fumble for that, touchdown. So it's kind of his own fault.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the thing. This is the thing with McKenzie, though, and I talked about it. I said, like, yeah, I want a piece of that offense. Give me McKenzie. And look, Knox almost busted too, but he scored here at the very end to save his day. It's just kind of what you get, right? Like, I mean, it's just what you get in Buffalo. Like, the ball gets spread around. Lots of different guys can score touchdowns. So, yeah.
All right, Tyler. Look, I actually took a nap today. I missed some of the games. I'll be good. Don't worry. Nothing will keep me away from football, but I appreciate it. Vinny P. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe. This is doable. I mean, it's not like a lock, but it's doable because Hurts can go 20 plus, And then you need maybe 15 to 20 from CD. So it's in the realm of possibility. It's certainly not. You're not dead yet. You're not dead yet.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's a good question.
I think Eckler will outscore CD tonight. Philly defense is good. He's still got Cooper Rush. I think Eckler will outscore CD Lamb, yes.
Yeah, I mean, Eckler is not always going to have as easy a matchups as he did the last 2 weeks, but I do feel a little bit better about him. It could go either way. It could come down to who scores, but I think I would go with Eckler. Here's a good question. Here's a trade question, guys. On Tuesday night, we'll do our trade and waiver wire show like always, but we'll answer those questions here too. Would you trade the Sun God for Stevenson?
I would trade Stevenson for the Sun God if I was getting the Sun God, but I'm not going the other way because, look, I know Stevenson's been great, but look, we had Stevenson on the Boom video last week. We had Stevenson on the Boom video this week. It's not like this was a surprise. Like, whoa, where is this coming from? Like, great matchups this week. No Damian Harris. Like, this was expected from Stevenson. And honestly, like, he got that late touchdown, but prior to that late touchdown, I was a little disappointed with Stevenson. He had that long touchdown, but he wasn't really like doing a ton. By the way, your boy Tyquan Thornton went off today. But he, so this wasn't like, I'm not looking at Stevenson like thinking this is something he can keep doing because Damian Harris is going to come back. It might be next week. It might be the week after. It might even be the week after that, but he's going to come back. And when he does, it's going to be more like a 50-50 again. It's not just going to be Stevenson. So the Sun God is like an every week must start wide receiver for the rest of the season. So I'm keeping Sun God.
Yeah, I'd rather have St. Brown for sure.
Hold on, I got to put this one up.
Oh.
What do we think? Is DJ Moore droppable?
I mean, unless you think he gets traded to a good team. But, I mean, do you think that happens?
Probably. I mean, that's probably the only reason I would hold him. I'd probably hold him through the trade deadline. If he doesn't get traded, then you could probably drop him. Because what do we – look, now PJ Walker got hurt, so now we're looking at Eason potentially next week. Like it just goes from like bad. It just goes from like bad to worse. We don't even know if Baker will be ready. And if he does, he's probably playing on like a high ankle sprain. Like, yeah.
I mean, you can drop him. Yeah. Here's a dub.
Nice. Well, those two moves might win you your championship this week for sure. I mean, this year for sure. Great moves. Great moves.
And that's a very. I feel like this is a very end game thing, right? You're making moves, getting ahead, right? Yes. You're playing chess while everyone else in your league is playing checkers.
Exactly.
It's not how you drafted. That's not the team that's going to win your championship. It's trades, it's waiver wire, it's smart lineup decisions. That's what it is.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, look, I get this. I know, Chris, you were beating the drum for Deion Jackson. Sat Deion Jackson, started J-Rob.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have started Deion Jackson for sure. I'm pretty sure I told everybody to start Deion Jackson. I started him. The only league I didn't start him in where I picked him up was a league like I forget. I think I had, or no, I guess I didn't pick him up in that league. But yeah, I started him in every league I picked him up. I think I picked him up in like 4 leagues. I started him as soon as they announced Taylor was out. I didn't think he would do what he did today, of course. I did not think that. But I knew it was a good spot. I knew he had the opportunity. And look, James Robinson. Okay, because James Robinson is on tonight's Panic video, by the way. Last 3 games, 2.5. This is PPR, by the way. 2.5, 5, and 6.5. Is James Robinson droppable? Like, real question, is James Robinson droppable? He has not even scored more than 6.5 PPR points over the last 3 games.
I mean, what worries me most is now near the goal line, they're not giving it to him. It's Trevor Lawrence, taking it.
Yeah, that was annoying today. It was 2 Trevor Lawrence touchdowns, but yeah.
All right. Tom Brady and Geno Smith. You were worried about Geno. I know this.
I mean, Tom Brady definitely a bust today because that Steelers secondary with Godwin, I don't understand that at all. I debated putting Geno Smith on the panic video, but can you really panic about Geno Smith? Like, you grabbed this guy off of waivers in like week 3. and you've rode him like for this ridiculous run, and now he's crashed back down to earth. It's like, okay, yeah, like, yeah, did you really think you were going to get 17 weeks of Geno Smith dominating? Like, So I didn't. Tom Brady's on the panic video, but Geno's not. I left him off because I'm like, no one's really panicking about Geno, right?
And the thing is with Geno, you can't blame him too much. He didn't need to pass because they won the game. Arizona didn't score like at all. Kenneth Walker was great. It's not like Geno played bad. He just didn't need to put up numbers.
True.
So he got the win. So nobody in Seattle is mad at him.
Yeah,
all right.
Brady was shocking.
Here's that same question, but he's saying his RB1 and 2 are out.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. But if I'm gonna trade Sun God, I'm gonna get a running back. Like Stevenson could be really good next week, could be really good the week after. But like I said, Damian Harris is coming back, and when he does, that's going to limit Ramondre Stevenson. If I'm going to trade Sun God, I'm okay trading Sun God for a running back if you need a running back, but get a good running back. Like, I mean, maybe it's too late for Kenneth Walker. It's probably, maybe you could still do like Breece Hall. Maybe you could still do like Kenneth Walker because like Sun God's a stud, right? Sun God's a stud, so you gotta get a stud running back in return, not Stevenson.
All right, hypothetical. Well, what do you think about getting Najee plus, a wide receiver 2-3 type
for Sun God?
Mm-hmm.
No, I still want. I know Najee was fine today, but I'm still like a little nervous about Najee going like I want something a little better and somebody who can help me more right now too. That's the other thing. Like,
yeah,
so I'm okay trading Sun, but get a stud running back in return. Or maybe Nick Chubb, who had a down week this week. Somebody like that.
Speaking of Chubb, a lot of people.
Oh, well, here's the thing.
Notice.
Yeah, here's. It's funny, like Nick Chubb is who Nick Chubb is. The difference between Nick Chubb this year and previous years is A, he had a 3-touchdown game, and B, he was scoring like every week. But he was doing pretty much the same thing he always does, like 100 yards, a little over 100 yards, maybe a catch. And then you get this is the problem with guys like Nick Chubb is games like today where they're playing a good defense, he can't rip off those long runs, and then they fall behind. He gets game scripted out, right? He just gets game scripted out, and they're just throwing the ball a ton, and it's just the way it is. It's why I've never said like Nick Chubb is a bust. I've never called Nick Chubb a bust. I've always just said Nick Chubb is one of those guys who won't make you lose, but he also won't like help. He won't like lose your championships, but he also won't help you win championships. He's just fine. He's another guy who's just fine, and I think we're gonna start. Look, his schedule the first 5 weeks was also cream puff soft, like insane soft. Now we're seeing the tough part of the schedule here, and we're starting to already see like, oh, now he's playing real defenses. So Nick Chubb will be fine. Just probably don't expect, RB1, RB2 Nick Chubb rest of the season.
Fair enough. All right, Andrew got. Speaking of the Sun God, he traded Sun God and Etienne for CMC.
Okay, so there you go. So here you go. So to the other person who's asking, this is like what you want to do. Maybe take Sun God and another decent running back like Etienne or somebody like that and get a stud running back like a CMC, like a Saquon, somebody like that. Like, this is how you move. This is what you want to do. Yeah.
Very nice. It's always better when you can beat the guy that you made the deal with.
Yes.
All right. Dragon wants to know better D tomorrow. Okay, here's a start set question. Needs 8 points. Do you like the Broncos against the Chargers or the Chargers against the Broncos?
I think if you need 8 points, I'm going to go with the Chargers. Even though I don't like their defense, but I don't. You don't have to worry about like the Broncos dropping 30 on them. Like the Chargers can drop 30, right? The Chargers can drop 30 on teams, and Russell will take some sacks, and we know he can turn it over. So I think I feel a little bit better about the Chargers defense.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part with defenses, you don't look at the better, defense. You look at the matchup, the worst offense that they're going against. I think you got to go with the Chargers. Better chance for sacks with Russ. Yeah, so I don't know your scoring system, but in general, I would still go Chargers.
Yeah. Here's one because he's on tonight's video. How are we feeling about Aaron Jones right now?
Well, it's funny, like kind of like what you said with Chubb. That's kind of Aaron Jones. Like he is what he is. He'll go off some weeks in good matchups, and he'll disappear some weeks. That's how he is. Dylan did get more involved. He did get more carries.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter because neither one was startable really today. So I think you kind of have to worry a little bit about the Packers in general. I think Jones is still a guy you can throw in there your RB2 slot pretty much every week. You just know there's going to be some duds.
Yeah, because I do talk about him tonight. I mentioned that, like, if you look at historically Aaron Jones, like, how has he made his living in fantasy? Like, pass catching and touchdown upside, right? Because he's in a great offense that gives him lots of scoring opportunities. Well, that's not the case anymore. Like, this offense isn't going to give him a lot of scoring opportunities. So yeah, without a touchdown upside, like you said, probably just an every week RB2, and he's going to have some boom weeks and he's going to have some bust weeks. Just what he's going to do.
Okay, Jason Quinones, welcome back. Eagles under 42.5. What do you think?
I mean, like, if you're talking about Eagles money line, like Eagles will win straight up. I like that. Under 42.5. Man, probably that's. I don't like betting I don't like betting under on low unders. Personally, I mean, I'm not a big better, like a over under better, anyways. Because you're only talking like 20 points each team, basically. But yeah, I don't know how I feel about the under.
On paper, you'd think, well, with these teams, it could be high scoring, but divisional matchups on prime time, I feel like I go under, and it's not a big total, but so typically I'd say, well, maybe go over with two really good teams, but I do feel like this might be more of a low scoring game, so I go under if you pressed me, and I definitely go Eagles. Pink R, not that green R that we're not going to deal with. All right, thoughts? That was from yesterday's show. Thoughts on Hopkins?
Well, it looks like Marquise Brown might have suffered a serious injury at the end of that game on the last interception. Looks like it might be an ankle for Marquise Brown. And we've already seen it with guys like Jonathan Taylor, Sun God. Like, ankles are tricky. Ankles could be tough. And it's a Thursday night game. They play this Thursday. So chances are no Marquise Brown this week. So I guess you got to feel pretty good about Hopkins because he should at least get a ton of targets. If they don't have Marquise Brown this week, he should get a ton of targets. But, man, we can't look at this Cardinals offense like the way we used to look at this Cardinals offense and think this is fantasy gold. Like, it's not. This is a bad offense right now. So, yeah, I think he'll be fine. Like, and if you've held him this long, you pretty much have to play him. Like, what'd you hold him this long for, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to start him, and especially if Brown is hurt and misses time. Look, Kyler Murray is a guy who's much better for fantasy than in reality. A real-life quarterback, he's not a stud. Like, he's playable, but he's not a stud. Hopkins, his days of being an elite wide receiver, I think they're over. I think he'll be okay as like a low-end wide receiver too. You can start him and you should start him, but don't expect superstar.
Yeah.
All right, Brian runs. Trade Stevenson for Kenneth Walker.
No, again, I'm going to say what I said earlier about Stevenson. Kenneth Walker is the guy in Seattle for however long he's healthy, which, considering he's a rookie and he's a workhorse back, will probably be the rest of the season. So Stevenson only the workhorse until Damian Harris gets back, and then it goes back to some sort of split. So no, you have to like Kenneth Walker more than Stevenson right now.
So if he's trading Stevenson to get Walker, you do it.
Yes, if you're trading Stevenson to get Walker, yes, I'd do that for sure. Definitely.
I do too. Here's a good question from the Slayer 1200. Is Deion Jackson still a good pickup? Because that's a good question because he was good today, but what if Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines come back next week?
Well, here's the other issue. He got hurt at the end of that game. He left that game. That's the thing. He was that good and he still didn't even finish the game. And now I haven't heard about what the injury might be, but there's a chance he's out next week. Like the Colts are just cursed at running back this year, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I certainly if JT and Hines are out again next week and Deion Jackson is healthy, yeah, you got to pick him up. He looks good. Philip Lindsay was barely involved today. Like he definitely was the guy today. So yeah, but pay attention to that injury and see.
I kind of mentioned this in the Discord. Look, if Deion Jackson was that effective and Nyheim Hines hasn't been this year, maybe Deion Jackson kind of slowly takes work from Hines. Maybe he's the guy behind JT. So I would hold, if he's on the wire, I would pick up. But again, I feel pretty confident Jonathan Taylor will come back next week. So just don't expect that you can necessarily start him, but I would hold him. Echo 3 Victor traded Najee for Keenan Allen.
I mean,
well, it didn't help you yet.
I think it's too early to say for both these guys. I don't think we see Keenan Allen until after the bye because they have the week 8 bye, I believe, right? So they play next week, then the bye in week 8. So we probably don't see Keenan Allen until week 9 because really, what's the point of playing him next week if you have the bye after that? I mean, maybe we'll see him next week, but you never know. But I think it's too early to say because Keenan obviously hasn't done anything. Najee's done a little something, but he's been disappointing. So I think it's too early to really say one way or the other yet for these guys.
I mean, between those two, I'd rather probably still have Najee, but
yeah,
I mean, we'll see. It's too early to see. I mean, if you needed a receiver, maybe it's okay, but we'll see. Lucius, Miles Sanders or Zeke?
I gotta go Miles Sanders. I mean, what are we really hoping for from Zeke? I mean, it's Zeke. It's like he has to fall in the end zone. Like he has to. Like, there's no other option here. He's not catching passes. He's not ripping off big runs. Like he just has to fall in the end zone. That's all you can ask for is he falls in the end zone. Miles Sanders still has big playability. He's in a great offense that can move the ball. He's still getting the work. I got to go Miles Sanders.
Going Miles Sanders too. I mean, Zeke is just very, very touchdown dependent. Down 2 points. Jason says he's got Eagles D. He has no one. I mean,
I like your chances. Like for a defense to get less than 2 points, they've got to like basically get no sacks, no turnovers, and give up a bunch of points. And I don't see that happening to the Eagles D tonight. So I like your chances.
All right. And then Gary just says, thanks for the insight. Hey.
Whoa, my man Gary. This is my friend Gary DePriest. What is up, Gary? Good to see you. Good to see you on here. I don't even know. You don't even play fantasy football, do you? But I appreciate the thumbs up anyways. That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Gary.
And all right, here's a good question. Waiver wire. Would you drop Jamal Williams for Walker? Yeah. I think you have to.
No doubt. If Walker is still somehow on your waiver, how is Walker still on your waiver wire? How did he not get picked up last week? Yes. I mean, yeah. Yes, definitely.
All right. Let's do some more Kyler slander. Gary says, how did he fleece them for that contract? And, I mean, look, this is a fair question from Docs Talks Vots.
I mean,
okay. I mean, is he just still every week start?
I think so. Because it's not like he's been awful. Like, okay, look at Lamar, because Lamar's on tonight's video too, so is Kyler. Lamar the last 3 weeks, 15, 15, and 17. Like, so he's been awful, but I don't think anybody's going to drop Lamar. Like, Kyler still ran for 100 yards today. 100 yards he's running again, so that's encouraging. I mean, yeah, he hasn't been great, but who are you going to drop? You're going to drop Kyler Murray and pick up Matt Stafford? Russell Wilson? Like who are you dropping Kyler Murray for? That's the thing. It's not like there's just tons of
Tua.
Yeah, okay, maybe if Tua is somehow on your waiver wire, maybe, but even then, like, yeah, it's not like you get, like, you know, it's not like Josh Allen is sitting on your waiver wire saying, yeah, it's cool, just drop Kyler Murray and pick me up. Like, who are you picking up? So I think you have to just roll with Kyler Murray.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, because, you know, at the very least, look what he did. He ran for 100 yards today. Not many quarterbacks can do that. He at least gave you points. And this is Docs Talks Spots. He actually did drop, just saw that, did drop a chat where we talked about
Thank you.
comment. Jason, good question. You go first.
Well, I got a cup. This is from one of our Endgame community members. His girlfriend made it, so I put it up behind me, and you can't really see it here, but it's Jalen Hurts. But I'm not a fan of either of those teams. I'm actually a Washington fan, but I am from Southern California.
Yeah, so he's near LA. His dad is a Rams fan.
Yeah.
He is not a Rams fan.
No.
Go figure.
Commanders,
right.
Which I wish I was a Rams fan these days.
So I'm born and raised in Miami, so I'm clearly a Dolphins fan, but I now live in Texas near San Antonio, and I'm not a Cowboys fan at all. So
no, never Cowboys.
Represent 305. Leo the Leak. All right, let's talk about Hill as a top 5 receiver with Skylar Thompson / Teddy Bridgewater. Tyreek Hill says, I don't care. He's a monster.
Yeah, I never thought like Tyreek Hill would go from, this huge play, huge upside guy to a huge volume guy. But that's what he is now. And in PPR leagues, that's enough. That's enough. Like, right?
That's this offense, both of these guys. And that's why we had a lot of questions about Waddle. I mean, legit, right? And Waddle, or who was it? Like Romeo Dobbs or something. And I was like, you can't sit Waddle for that guy like that. Yeah. And Tyreek Hill, you must start. That's why we have him as no doubt, don't care, must start.
Yeah, you got to start. I mean, the volume is just too high.
And I want to say, with Tua back, maybe Waddle should be there too. Just saying. All right, George wants to know, trade AJ Brown or Adams for Hurts. He's 1-4.
See, I can't trade a stud wide receiver for a stud quarterback unless it's super flex. Then of course, definitely do it. But if it's 1 QB, I can't do it. Like I can't imagine like Adams and AJ Brown probably aren't the reason you're 1-4. I mean, I know AJ Brown's had a couple down games, but like you're not 1-4. Like giving up Adams to get Hurts probably isn't going to change the outcome of your team any right now. So. I mean, hopefully you got the win this week, and you're 2-4, and hopefully Dak will be back next week, and then you'll probably be okay.
Well, that's the thing, George. You think about this. If you were hurting at quarterback because you had Dak and you were maybe going with Carson Wentz, I think you had him or somebody else. Well, now it's too late. Dak's coming back in a week or two, maybe next week. Now there's no point trading for a quarterback because if you were going to do that to replace him, you could have done that after week 1 or 2. So, yeah, that's what I thought. I remember him being one of those Wentz teams. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, I don't know if you were able to maybe get Geno off waivers. I don't know who else is out there. Jimmy G was okay this week. Play matchups, but at this point, no, you might as well wait. But I wouldn't do that anyways. You just Bridgewater. Well, but Bridgewater actually put up numbers today. If you had Bridgewater this week, right? Didn't he go over 300 yards?
He might have. I think he threw a couple interceptions. Let me see here. He got 20 fantasy points. He'll take that. Yeah, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, 329 and 2 touchdowns. But you probably didn't start him because he wasn't starting. So
yeah, nobody started him.
Yeah, so I wouldn't do that. No, typically. All right. What about Terry's asking? Would you trade Aaron Jones for Najee?
I mean, at this point, I'll probably just gamble on Najee getting better, the schedule getting better. I just don't see a path for Aaron Jones to be a high upside guy. Like it's just AJ Dillon had more carries. AJ Dillon, like he had more Jones had more catches, but Dillon still got catches again. The offense can't give him chances to score. Not Najee. Actually, the offense got inside close to the goal line a few times today for the Steelers. Like Najee might have more chances to score than Aaron Jones this year somehow. So I'd probably just be like, give me Najee, and I'll gamble that he gets better.
Yeah, I would too, because Najee at least owns the backfield, for better or worse, that offense. He's going to get all the goal line touches and the catches. So I think he'll get better. All right, we're being visited again by the General Bacon. Down by 9. He has Denver D, but I've got Eckler. It's going to be
think he'll be
close, but I feel better about Eckler, I think.
Yeah, I think Eckler can overcome a 9-point deficit for his defense. So it'll probably be close, right? It'll depend on how the Denver defense does and how Eckler does, but I think he'll pull it
out. Blair Davis wants to know, where's the big boy trade? Chubb and Pittman for Fournette and Kupp.
I think I do this. I mean, look, Fournette looks like this year's Najee. Like this year's Najee from last year. Like his efficiency is terrible. There was one point in the game, like before he scored that touchdown, he had 20 touches and 7 fantasy points. Like what is, like, how do you do that? How do you touch the ball 20 times and only have 7 fantasy points? But I mean, he's getting so much volume, he's getting receptions. Like, I don't know if Chubb will be even better than Fournette the rest of the season. And even though I love Pittman, I mean, come on, it's Cooper Kupp. Like, come on, it's Cooper Kupp. That's a big upgrade. So yeah, I do this.
You know what? I'm surprised not a single person that I've seen has mentioned Allen Robinson actually did something today.
I know, right? That's crazy.
Did nobody notice?
Nobody can believe it. Nobody can believe he did something.
All right. You feel bad here, Cedric. He said he's owned 6. He listened to draft experts to draft certain people, and they all busted. Well, I mean, look, I don't want you to call anybody out. I don't know who the experts were. If you're new to us and you just joined us, I mean, hopefully it's none of our guys. I mean, Najee.
I was going to say maybe it was us. What if it was us?
I'm guessing it's not, because he didn't say I listened to y'all. He said I listened to draft experts. So
okay, well, but look, busts happen. Busts happen to everybody. It's a part of it. This is why I always preach draft for upside with every single pick, not just the late round like Flyers. Because if you've got a guy, like if you drafted Najee, let's just say, and then you said like, well, I'm going to play it safe in round 2 and I'm going to get, I don't know, like some safe player, or I'm going to get some safe player. Then yeah, you might be hurting right now because that safe player might just be doing safe things and Najee's not doing anything. If you're always drafting for upside, you can survive some busts, assuming you hit on some of those upside guys.
Yeah, like DJ Moore, he's pretty safe, right?
Yeah.
1,100 yards, 4 touchdowns. It's in the bag.
Or like Terry McLaurin, right? These guys are just safe.
All right. Ghost or G Ghost 43. Is it crazy to hold Akers in an IR spot? I don't think it's crazy to hold anybody if it's an IR spot. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's in an IR spot, go for it. Like as long as you don't, have somebody that you need to put in the IR who's more important to your team, then go for it. Maybe he gets traded, maybe he doesn't. If he never gets traded, then you can just drop him because apparently he's never playing for the Rams again. So if they don't trade him, then I guess he's not playing this year, I guess. I don't know. Crazy, but NFL, man, always full of surprises. Always full of surprises.
Well, the Rams, look at what they did last year. They made a ton of deals in season. Worked out pretty well for them. At this point, they're not adding. They're not looking to gain. It's like addition by subtraction. They just want to get rid of him, make him go away. I think they'll do it. Some team will pull a trigger, I'm guessing. So I'm not assuming CMC is going to the Rams. Like, I don't think they're going to do that. But I think they'll get a deal done. So, yeah, just hold him. It's not going to hurt. Let's see. Oh, do we know who this is?
Yeah. I mean, okay. Yeah. Yes, like Gabe Davis. Yes, like Gabe Davis.
Hey, I didn't say he was going to win your league, but I was like, I'll take a shot on Gabe Davis in round 4, round 5. I don't think that's a reach. I mean,
the problem is he was going. Like, I'll be honest. Like, I wasn't drafting Gabe Davis where he was going. I thought he was going too high. I'll give you the W on that one, Jimmy. Give you the W on that one.
And then look, your leagues at this point in this day and age.
So okay, here's the thing. Get in our Discord. It's totally free. Links down below in the description. I can't give you the link because it's like some weird character thing. We do endgame leagues every year, and one thing I think is that we have 5 IR spots in every league, and you could put players who are out, players who are on IR, players who are suspended, because I don't think you should have to, like, if you have a player that's out, like a good player that's out, you shouldn't have to drop somebody from your bench to pick up a replacement. Like, that's ridiculous. You should just be able to move that player to IR and go get a replacement. Like, that's not really fair. So, yeah, get in the Discord and get in the endgame leagues next year. That's my advice.
Yeah, definitely. Andrew is back. All right, so what do you think of Carolina? Okay, so do you think CMC does get traded?
I mean, I don't, but it doesn't even matter to me. CMC could play CMC could play for my high school alma mater against these pro teams, and it wouldn't matter because CMC is just that good. Like, he's real life that good. Like, people talk about like Nick Chubb, best running back in the league. Jonathan Taylor, like Christian McCaffrey might literally be the best running back in the league. Dude's on a terrible team with no quarterback. Like, everybody knows CMC's the whole offense, and they can't stop him. They just cannot stop this guy. He's incredible. So I don't care. Gets traded, doesn't get traded, he'll be great. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, and you know what? With CMC, I think this is why it's funny. A lot of people were fading both McCaffrey and Barkley because they're like, oh, they're on bad teams, or oh, they're always hurt. Okay, yeah, they've been hurt, but look what happens when they're not hurt. Barkley, got to give him credit. That offensive line is not great. Okay, and McCaffrey is in a terrible team. They're studs. This is why you draft them in the first round. And we drafted Barkley in the first round in a lot of our drafts and mocks. So, not just saying that, like, you know.
Well, are we going to talk about Robbie Anderson going Antonio Brown?
Yeah. For fantasy, I'm pretty sure it means nothing because nobody should have Robbie Anderson anywhere. But
yeah, no.
I mean, what do you expect from Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
I mean, I would say he's a great candidate to get traded, but now who's going to want him?
Yeah, who wants Robbie Anderson?
All right, guys, and we only have a couple minutes left because I know the kickoff for tonight's game. We're just hopping on to answer some quick questions. If you guys have any other start-sit questions for tonight or tomorrow, we're going to do our waiver and trade questions on Tuesday night.
Yep.
So anything else or any victory laps you want to take early?
Well, here's a start-sit one for tonight and tomorrow. Judy or Sanders? Let's help out Arlindo here. Judy or Sanders?
I go Judy. I mean, I know Sanders could definitely have a bigger game. It's a tough matchup. I can never predict when Sanders is going to do something. So I don't know. That's tough. But
yeah, I still got to go Judy.
I go Judy.
If it's PPR, I think I got to go Judy. And then what about this one? For Jimmy the Kid. Devonta or Judy? Needs 20 points for the win.
Always Devontae. I mean, Devontae, much better situation. Probably better matchup, I would say, too, because, you know, the Cowboys have been really good, but their corners are kind of like, you know, give and take. They'll make plays, but they'll also give up big plays. So I feel good about Devontae. You've got to feel better about his target share.
Definitely Devontae there. Let's see. Yes, he is. See, this is why MVS guys like MVS, Christian Kirk, man. Like, this is why I hate when people say, like, well, but they paid him a bunch of money. Like, the coaches don't care. The coaches don't care how much the owners paid this guy, how much the GM paid this guy. Like, if they paid this guy a ton of money, he's not very good. The coaches aren't going to be like, well, we gotta throw him the ball because he got paid a bunch of money. Like, no, like I hate that argument. Like, people are like, well, he just got paid a ton of money, so they're going to use him. It's like, no, they're not, because they're going to realize he's not very good.
MVS is like, if I have nobody else, I'll throw him in my lineup, but that's it.
Yeah.
Like this one, Penguin Zero. I like that name. Picked up Juju and Thornton. All right. And I'm glad you mentioned that because, guys, you know, some of these guys are emerging, especially these rookies who haven't done anything yet. I put those guys a week ahead of time on the Beat the Breakout early waiver wire. Talked about Tyquan Thornton last week. I talked about Wan'Dale Robinson like 5 weeks ago and again last week. So always pay attention because those are the guys who are coming up. You want to grab them before they pop.
Yeah. And we got some comments in there. People were like, this list isn't it. And it's like, okay, well, it's not it. But the rookie wide receiver that was on the Beat the Breakout just went off for 2 touchdowns. So maybe the list was it.
Slayer, Burrow over Brady rest of season.
I think you have to. I think you have to. Like, I mean, I know Burrow hasn't been great, but he's got Chase, he's got Higgins. He's got weapons. I mean, Brady has weapons too. But look, maybe Brady's just not there mentally. Like, I mean, it's a possibility, right? It's a possibility that Brady, like, football isn't the most important thing in Brady's life this year. He's got some other stuff he's got to deal with. So,
well, I think the problem is that football is the most important thing in his life. That's why he's got nothing else now. And he's talking to the theory that Gisele's witch powers are sapping him of his.
No. I just look. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is Brady's last season. Maybe he really retires after this.
But why now? At this point, it's like you're committed. Like, just keep going. Mr. Peabody, what is up?
Mapletron.
No, I think that's a pretty fluky. I'm like, look, he got touchdowns from Mitch Trubisky. I know Pickens didn't do anything, but yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, that's almost as offensive as when people were calling Kenny Galladay Babytron. Like, look, Megatron, one of the best wide receivers that game's ever seen. Don't disparage Calvin Johnson like that with these hack wide receivers.
Good point.
Well, here, how about, we were talking about dropping DJ Moore. Do you drop DJ Moore for Jameson Williams? Would you rather just stash Jameson Williams at this point?
I mean, no. I mean, if you can put Jameson Williams in an IR spot, yes, I'll grab him and stash him. But I'm not going to clog up a spot on my bench with a player I might need for a guy who's not going to play for several weeks, if at all. Yeah. It's too early for that. All right. Any last second questions? Start to sit.
I'm looking for maybe like a Miles Sanders. I'm gonna go Melvin Gordon here. I just like that matchup against the Chargers. They're just so bad against the run.
Yep, I go Gordon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Melvin Gordon.
Yeah, Oliver, we both say Gordon, and then there's an easy one for you. Drop J.K. Dobbins for fill in the blank.
Yeah. I mean, look, what? Look, I know they're like, oh, his knee tightened up, and that's why. But Kenyon Drake was ripping off big runs, like big runs.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like Kenyon Drake just got like 25 carries. No, he was ripping off big runs. Like, he was giving them juice at Dobbins. Like, look, Dobbins will probably be one of my favorite draft picks next year. This is not a good year for J.K. Dobbins. He's coming off a brutal ACL injury, tore everything, tore his hamstring, tore everything. Next year, though, when nobody wants to draft him because he was terrible this year, and look at Saquon. Saquon looks like a totally different guy this year than last year. Looks totally different. Why? 2 years off the ACL injury. You gotta give him that year. You gotta give him that first year. Just next year. Next year, J.K. Dobbins. This year, yes, definitely drop him for Brandon Cooks.
Yeah. All right. General Bacon is out to watch the game, and the game's about to start.
And maybe go eat some bacon.
Anything else we got?
Let's see. Again, looking for like maybe a start sit for for tonight. Somebody desperate.
Ash, I like your pun there. Get a newer model. That's pretty good.
This one will be fun. Let's do 2 old wide receivers who can't stay healthy. Who do you like rest of the season? Go.
Traquan Smith. The answer is Traquan, my boy Smith. Keenan Allen, I guess, because I feel like at some point he might actually play.
Yeah, I'd still prefer Keenan Allen. Let's see. I'm just looking, seeing if you see I'm just looking for like a last minute start sit if anybody has one here.
No, I don't see anything.
All right, well, okay, we're good then.
Like this is, you know what? This is fantasy football. Yeah. When you win, you're the highest. When you lose, you're the lowest. That's fantasy football.
Fantasy football, man. It's the way it is. But you know what? I'd rather have a team like that. than a team that's consistently like in the middle. Like I know a lot of people, they want that team that's just safe and consistently in the middle. But you'll never win your championship with that team that's consistently safe in the middle. But if you have that team that can like boom, like huge games, yeah, sure, you might have those games where they don't, but when they do, you win. And if you can get hot, if your team can get hot right in the fantasy playoffs, boom, you're a champion. So I'd rather have that team than that like middle team that's just always like never one of the highest scorers, but never one of the lowest. I don't want that team.
That's why you trade for a guy like Chase when you can.
Yes.
All right, guys, that's it for tonight. We'll see you live on Tuesday night. Talk about all your waiver wire and trade questions. Waiver wire video going up tomorrow. Panic video coming up tonight. And also trade videos. And, of course, our start sit throughout the week. If you haven't already, hit subscribe. Join the Discord. And if you haven't subscribed, and hit a thumbs up. Notification bell will let you know as soon as the video comes out and when we do start going live. That way we'll see you again next time. All right, good luck.